Hello and welcome. Today we are going to talk about the top 5 biggest mistakes employers make when hiring new employees. This is something that I see repeatedly, especially when it's a new employer. What do I mean by that? Somebody who's been in business for a little while, but they're just starting out, and so they haven't given as much thought to hiring as an existing, well-established, been in business for many, many years company. So these mistakes can be very costly in the long run. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to this so that as you're hiring new employees, that you don't make these mistakes and that can hurt your business, not only short term, but also long term. If you're new here, my name is Taylor Darcy from Think Legal. I help you create the business of your dreams. So please welcome. I go live every Monday through Friday, except holidays, at 11 a.m. to answer questions and to help you with your legal needs. So please stop in, and so I can help you with your questions and help you move that business forward. We also have a podcast that I bring and interviews help you through their experience and knowledge. So please, I look forward to getting to know you and developing your business through long term. So let's go ahead and get started. The number one mistake, and these are in a specific order. Some of my videos, they're in different, they could all be number 1 or they could all be number 5 or they could all be, you know what I mean? Like they're the same thing. And so it's hard to rank them. This is not that hard to rank in the respect that these are the big top ones. And so first is misclassifying an employee as an independent contractor. And this is a huge, huge issue for a lot of first-time business owners. They want the help that comes with having an employee, but they don't want the taxes and the other payroll expenses that come with having an employee. And so what they'll do is they'll justify, especially in California, this is a big problem. They'll justify, oh, I can't afford to hire an employee. I can only afford to hire an independent contractor. The problem is misclassifying an employee can be very costly, very expensive in penalties and interest and back taxes. It gets very expensive very quickly. So this is a big mistake, and you want to make sure that you are following the proper classifications of an employee, that they are in fact an employee or are an independent contractor. In some instances, that's true. So if you're thinking about hiring somebody, make sure you do your due diligence to find out that they are in fact an employee as opposed to an independent contractor, because it is worth waiting to hire someone. I know that's not what you want to hear from me, but it's waiting to hire somebody till you can actually afford an employee rather than spending the possibility of what can go wrong with hiring them as an independent contractor instead of an employee. And so you really want to avoid that is a huge mistake. I cannot emphasize this enough, that it could close your business if you misclassify an employee in California, just because of how expensive it could get very quickly. So that's number 1. Number 2, not having an employee handbook. That is your next big mistake. And the simple version of that is that an employee handbook sets forth the policies and procedures of your company so that it's clear and in writing and unambiguous. In that employee handbook, you need to make sure throughout the handbook that nothing in the handbook should be misconstrued or understand to create a contract. That if it's an at-will handbook, that it needs to be very specific in big, bold, underlined print that it is at-will employment. And part of that needs to be that you don't offer a 90-day probationary period. That's not, because that implies at the end of the 90 days that you can only get fired for cause. So you want to make sure that it's very clear that there is no probationary period, rather that the whole time is a probationary period, to make sure you maintain that at-will employment status. The last thing you want to do is have them claiming that there was a contract implied and then having it have to go to court because of it. It just gets expensive and very costly. So having that employment handbook is key to making sure, one of the keys to making sure that you're not accidentally misclassifying an employee or having an employee contract. That's why that's number one. The next one that you want to make sure of is if you're hiring, make sure you're doing your due diligence and making sure that you're not discriminating against anyone. Now, we've talked about in previous videos about non-discriminatory hiring practices and what that means to you as a company and what you need to do. So please follow that video. I'll link to it just for your sake so you understand, because you really want to avoid a possible discriminatory lawsuit. These are costly mistakes. These are expensive mistakes. An ounce of prevention, and I say this all the time, is worth a pound of cure. And so making sure you're hiring correctly, non-discriminatory, does a couple of things. Number one, you're not worried about a lawsuit. And number two, your company can thrive more. Diverse applicants are more valuable. Your company will be more valuable as you have people that are of diverse backgrounds. And that can be a lot of different things. So embrace diversity, embrace people of different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different statuses, because I guarantee you that will actually increase the amount of people that will want to do work with you, because they will see themselves in your company. And that's a big way to build trust. So this one is probably, like I said, these are all so good. I don't want you to think that number one is everything and number two is everything. I want you to take this as a sum whole of what you should do to make sure your business is as successful as possible in a business perspective. That is so important. You want to make sure that you are having that good company culture, that you are treating people with the respect that they deserve. And if that means you not hiring them until you're really ready, then make sure you're doing that. Next thing that I see that a lot of employers do is that they ghost their potential applicants in the hiring process. After a while, they just stop responding to them. Now, I totally understand. Please don't say, well, they just bug me so much and I just get so tired of doing this. I understand that. However, and this is the big however, and this is why you want to be super duper careful. You are burning goodwill with that potential applicant. Maybe they aren't a good fit at that moment, but you don't know that they won't be a good fit at a next moment. They could improve their situation. They could get the education that you're looking for. There could be a lot of reasons why they're not a good fit. And I understand that ghosting is easier in the sense that you don't have to worry about them driving you nuts, okay? Except for it burns your goodwill. It hurts them. It hurts you and your credibility as a business owner. So if you are, be short, sweet, and to the point. Explain to them the reasons why and be very specific, and just let them know that maybe you had a different candidate that just was a better fit. Whatever the reason is, most applicants can understand it. But if you're talking like weeks and months after a phone call or an interview and you're still not getting back to people that wasn't a good fit, then you are harming your reputation with them. I've been ghosted before I was my own business owner, and I would interview with people. I would get ghosted all the time, and it was always frustrating to know, yes, eventually I gave up, but at the same time, that left a really bad taste in my mouth, and I'll never apply to those companies ever again. The old saying, don't cut your nose off to spite your face, so to speak. Okay, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Send them something, send them a letter, say, hey, maybe now isn't the right time, but please apply again in the future if things change, if this changes, or, and instead of the whole, we'll keep your application on file, which everybody knows is coded language for too bad, so sad, we're not hiring you. Say, you know what, we may be having positions come in the future. And I'm not saying you have to be soft about it. I'm not saying you have to tiptoe on eggshells, but be honest about it. Most job seekers can accept the fact that they're not going to be a good fit for every job that they apply to. We can handle it. So please, and I'm saying this from an employer because I am one, but also from an employee perspective. Put yourself in their shoes. How would it make you feel if you've got this business deal, because that's really what we're talking about here, that all of a sudden the other party just goes silent on? When I've tried hiring people in the past and they ghost me back, they lose all chance of me ever hiring them ever again. Well, the same is true on the opposite side. And sometimes, okay, I can understand it, but at the same time, don't hurt yourself like that. Don't hurt your business unnecessarily, where this could be an opportunity to create goodwill. Be creative with your goodwill. You could encourage additional people. Maybe that person is a good fit, but maybe they have a friend who is. Okay. Maybe that other person is a better fit than they are. So keep those types of things in mind. Keep the idea that don't ghost someone, not only as a respect for them, but also as a helping your business grow. So the next, and this is the last mistake that I see a lot of, and this gets you into negligent hiring practices, is not doing a proper background check or references check. And this really comes down to giving your business the right setup for the right person. Last thing you want to do is don't do it. There's a lot of companies that don't do background checks, that don't do reference checks. And that's a big problem, because if you don't know that they've done something, then you could be liable for their actions under the negligent hiring practices. And that really comes down to can be very costly again. So you want to make sure that you're doing the right background checks. Some states it's allowed to do credit checks. Other states it's not. Some states you have to wait till you've made an offer of employment before you can do a background check. But you should always check references. And sometimes it's going to be, people think, oh, it's a waste of time. It's not a waste of time if you look at it from I'm doing my due diligence as an employer, even if I'm not getting as much information as I need, because I recognize that, for instance, a lot of employers will say, well, they worked through this time, and that's all I can tell you. And that's fine. Okay. Now, you can have them sign an additional release that says that they can disclose all of these things, and that could be part of your hiring. But keep these things in mind as you want to do your due diligence. You want to make sure that it's fair, but that you don't discriminate against anybody for all of the reasons we've talked about in other videos. So please keep those in mind. Well, that pretty much sums up the top 5 mistakes. If you have any questions, comments, or would like to see me, we will be back again Monday through Friday, except for holidays, 11 a.m. And I look forward to talking with you soon. Don't forget to subscribe and like this channel for updates.